So for the record, who are you and what is your affiliation to me?
My affiliation?
Yes, your affiliation.
I'm your mother.
Okay, can you state your name, please?
My first name is Lisa.
Okay.
And my married name, last name, is Watkins.
Okay.
Same as yours.
Yeah, I know. Sadly, it is. Okay. So I want you to tell me any memory you have, like your most vivid memory of your childhood.
My most vivid memory of my childhood.
Like any interesting events that occurred. Like, did you meet any interesting people?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Probably the most vivid day for me would be when it was January of 1974, maybe 1975. I can't remember which. I think it was 75. My mother worked or knew a gentleman who worked, my mother knew a gentleman whose name was Russ, and Russ worked at CBS television studio in Los Angeles. He was the stage manager for the Tony Orlando and Dawn show. You've probably heard of Tony Orlando and Dawn.
I don't know. I probably haven't. But who knows, obviously.
Well, if you've ever heard that tedious old song, Tie a Yellow Ribbon Around the Old Oak Tree, then you'll know what I'm talking about.
Oh, that one.
That one.
God.
Yeah. Anyway, Russ worked at the studio up there, and he made arrangements for my mother and I to visit CBS Studios one day. So I spent the entire day at CBS Studios. I got to sit in on a 3-hour rehearsal for the Tony Orlando and Dawn show. We were all in a small room. I got to sit and watch them rehearse. Danny Thomas, the actor Danny Thomas, was the guest that day for that episode. And he decided it would be really funny to sit on my lap.
How old were you?
11, 12.
That must have been uncomfortable, having a big old dude sitting on your lap and you're like 80 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah, less than that soaking wet. But yes, that was different. The other highlights of that day were to sit in the audience and watch Carol Burnett rehearse for her show, the Carol Burnett Show. And that day, the guests rehearsing were the Jackson 5.
Ooh, that's Michael Jackson, right?
Yeah, and his brothers.
And didn't he have a sister?
Yes, yeah, he has. No.
No.
Yeah,
okay.
There are two sisters, Janet and Latoya, but they were not a part of this.
No, I do believe you got something from them, right? They signed a record or something.
I got their autograph. Yes, I have an autograph
hanging in the washing room. Right?
No, it's not hanging up, but I do have their autograph. Tony Orlando gave me some records.
Do you still have them?
Yes.
Can I sell them one day?
No.
Please?
No.
Darn.
Okay, so I got to watch the Jackson 5 perform and rehearse. I got their autograph. Another person who was sitting in the audience watching was Ruth Buzzy.
Don't know who that is.
No, you wouldn't know. Anybody out there who remembers Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In would know Ruth Buzzy.
Probably only Miss Na.
Yeah, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. I got to sit in the control booth while they were taping an episode of All in the Family, which is amazing. I toured the sets of the soap opera that I happened to watch at that time. It was a relatively new show called The Young and the Restless.
Isn't that thing still on?
Yes, it's one of the very few that's still on.
It's like, what, 80 years now?
I'm not that old, thank you.
But the show is.
No, the show started in 1974, or maybe 73. It's not that old. I mean, it wasn't that old at that time. So I came away from that day with autographs from the Jackson 5, I think I even got, I might have Carol O'Connor, who was Archie Bunker, All in the Family. I think I have William Conrad. He had a detective show on the air at that time. So a really vivid, important kind of day from my childhood, yeah.
No, I remember you told me you met a president. Tell me about that. Because I'm pretty sure everybody wants to know about that one.
Everybody wants to know about that, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was July of 1987.
Okay. Where were you?
I was in Oregon. I was on Mount Hood, which is about 1 hour east of Portland.
Okay.
I was visiting my uncle, who has a property there on the confluence of the Sandy and the Salmon Rivers. I was there.
Confluence. That's a
Confluence.
I
Nice
don't
big
even know
word.
what that word
Well,
means. Honestly.
It's okay.
Probably an ACT or SAT word.
Yeah, it might be.
Well,
It's
that's
one of
good
those
to know.
wonderful words that you'd like to throw out there. I used to use the word congeal or coagulate a lot when I
Yeah.
needed to, and it grossed people out. But anyway, yes, I was in Oregon in July because my grandmother was turning 80. My father's mother, my uncle's mother, was turning 80, and we were all gathering to wish her happy 80th birthday. And it also happened to coincide with my cousin who was getting married. And just so happens that my uncle, who lives now full-time at the cabin, but was not living at the cabin full-time then, he is still a large supporter of the Republican Party. Don't laugh.
I bet Grandpa loves him.
Well, yes, your grandfather's a Republican, but that's okay.
Nothing's
This
wrong
is
with
not
being a Republican. It's just.
okay. I was going to say let's not go there.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about politics.
No.
No, thank you.
Anyway, my uncle knew a gentleman who operated the Timberline Lodge, the ski lodge, on Mount Hood.
Okay.
And it just so happened that the first president, George Bush, he was vice president at this point, and he was campaigning to be president, and he was traveling through that area on, fundraising campaign stops, and he had a day of R&R, and they thought, his people, whoever his people were, thought that he could spend the day having a special lunch up at Timberline Lodge. And that idea was nixed. Mr. Bush decided he would really rather fish. He wanted a day. Think about when you think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know fishing.
Well,
big,
no,
big,
it's not. It's
fun
not that
thing
it's
up there.
fish. It's just the fact that if you are that
Popular, you want to get away from the public.
exactly,
Okay.
you want to get away from the public. So, we found out that he was going to be allowed. All the red tape. I'm mumbling and stumbling here, and I apologize.
Red tape, yeah, I know.
All the red tape involved in hosting the vice president and his wife at my uncle's cabin for one
Who's
day.
his wife?
Barbara.
Barbara. Okay.
For one day. This is all for one day. Just not even an entire day, just a portion of a day. And let's see. Secret Service came ahead of time, set up a command center in one of the buildings on my uncle's property, which means they had phone lines, they had to set up. He was the vice president of the United States under Ronald Reagan. So if anything was happening to Ronald Reagan over in Washington, it's a major undertaking.
Reagan was good.
And we also had the Ollie North, Noriega, Iran-Contra stuff going on at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Too.
Mm.
So
Reagan's big mistake.
it was very interesting to see the command center set up. The vice presidential limousine was airlifted in. They airlifted a special. They didn't airlift him onto the property. They airlifted it. They shipped this special limousine in, and my cousins got the opportunity to ride up to the mountain from Portland in the presidential motorcade.
That is awesome.
Yes, vice presidential motorcade. They had the freeways shut down, so they had the road to themselves. When they arrived, we had Secret Service everywhere. Mr. and Mrs. Bush were fishing. My cousin got to help the vice president with his gear and all of his stuff. He got to be his whatever the term would be for fishing assistant. But anyway, they're out there fishing, and every time he would move downriver,
Secret Service would move down with him?
Exactly. And they're positioned behind the trees and everything. Leading up to this, there was a lot of discussion over who was going to be there, what were we going to serve. Turns out they wanted a very simple lunch. So we spent 2 days prior in the kitchen cooking, baking muffins and doing all this stuff. And when it was all said and done, we were about 8 people at the table.
Secret Service didn't get to eat?
Not with us.
Well, that sucks.
They didn't get to eat with us. Mr. Bush it was quite an honor to meet him. It was almost one-on-one because we were such a small group. And naturally, we were all very nervous. We were outside having lunch on the patio, on the deck by the river. And I asked him if he would like to have some more coffee. I know you're laughing, but
yeah, it's hilarious.
I asked him if he wanted some more coffee.
See, my life's not that special. I don't get to go meet the president or the vice president.
And he followed me into the kitchen. He said he wanted his coffee con leche.
With milk, I know.
Yes, but how
weird is that?
Well, what that tells me, obviously, is in order for us to be that close to him, they had to do a security check and a background check on all of us. So if I had not passed security,
you wouldn't have been able to go in there with him.
Exactly. I wouldn't have been there.
You weren't even a threat. You were like, what, 14, 15?
25.
25, okay. Never mind, you could have been a threat.
I could have been a threat.
Radical hippie.
Yeah, right. Anyway, he says con leche. And I'm thinking, okay. So I'm pouring his coffee, and I could not get the cream, the leche, into the cup without spilling to save my life. I was so nervous. My hands were shaking so badly. And the vice president says, get a little wrist action going there. I'm like, okay, yes, sir. Anyway, it was a wonderful day. They were very nice people. Mrs. Bush was in the kitchen with us, helping us clean up the dishes and scrape the spent food into the trash can because they don't have a garbage disposal up there. So yeah, kind of a unique experience. I've met some interesting people in my life.
Well, I wish I had that life, I mean, I met the doctor, but that's nothing compared to the president. But
True. It just happened that way. I was in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Well, thank you. This interview was very fun, actually.
Oh, they're all old stories that I'm sure you've heard far too many times.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Now I gotta go finish an essay.
Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Signing off.
Yeah.